Hi weaving friends, we're doing something a little bit different today for a couple of reasons. Number one is it's just a fun thing to do, is to buy something off the internet. Sometimes you're not really sure what you're going to get. I haven't really bought a toy loom before. I've got a lot of different looms, but none of them were sold as toy looms. This little frame loom right here being one exception to that rule. And the other reason is that I'm always interested in finding more economical ways for people to get into weaving, because I know that even the most affordable looms can be a little too expensive for some people. And this loom right here is about half the price of a Sampleit rigid heddle loom. And so I was really interested to see whether this would be a viable option for beginner weavers. I really don't know, I just ordered this online, and so we're going to have a look at it together. I'm going to put it together, though I think it is mostly assembled, and we're going to weave on it together and see what we think. This particular weaving loom is by Lavievert. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I'm going to put a link to it down below in case you want to check it out for yourself. The first thing we're going to do is take it out of the box. The first thing that strikes me is it is a little bit smaller than I thought it would be. I'm not great at visualizing measurements. I can look at the measurements of something online. They can be very clear. And unless I actually get a ruler or a tape measure out, I'm just not seeing it. So anyway, I wasn't really worried about the size. It was more about getting the loom to try it. But yes, it's a little bit smaller than I thought. Okay, so what we have here is 3 weaving shuttles, and they're already loaded, which is lovely. We've got some little screws here and some little foam pads. I think they're to go on the bottom of the legs so that it doesn't slide. And this is the actual loom itself. It seems to have some instructions there, which is good, and some balls of yarn. Okay, so I'm going to start by having a look through the instructions. I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. It says to unfold it as, unfold the looming machine. It's not just a weaving loom, folks, it's a looming machine. As shown in the diagram, insert the screws into the side holes and tighten to stabilize the machine. Okay, let's do that first. Okay, so unfolding is the first thing to do. May we have silence as I unfold the looming machine. Oh, it is going to unfold one way or another. Ooh, there we go. Oh wow, it's tiny. It's cute though. And now I'm going to need these screws into the side holes. So there are 2 screws. And I'm looking for side holes here. Oh yeah, I can see a couple of side holes. Oh, okay, so I'm guessing they mean to put the arms and attach them. Perhaps, but that arm doesn't quite seem to match up. Does this one? Nope. Let's see. In the diagram, it's definitely wanting me to screw these arms into what they call these side holes, but the side hole is not matching up with the hole of the arm. First problem. Okay. That's going to be, I'm guessing that's going to be important. It's like a stabilizing arm. Am I doing something wrong? Maybe if I rotate it. Yeah, if in doubt, rotate. No, it still doesn't, it still doesn't match up. Okay, we're going to move on. I'm going to see how important those stabilizing arms actually are. And if they're really essential, then I'm probably, oh, hang on, stop the press. I hadn't unfolded it to the right point. I didn't realize, I thought it was done unfolding. Okay, user error. You just have to unfold it to the correct point. I'm actually going to do this side first because my hand's just going to be in the way on the other side anyway. Oh, okay, now we have, yeah, it's now fitting into the hole because I folded the loom to the right point. Okay, those screws at the side are in. I will need to get a screwdriver at some point and screw those in properly because it's a little bit wobbly, and I'm guessing that's not going to do me any favors down the track. So I will do that. And the next thing is to stick the anti-skid stickers to each bottom corner to prevent it from sliding. Okay, turn it over. And I'm just going to stick them on. I guess that's going to stop me from scratching up the table as well, which is a good thing. Now with this loom, because this is all just a bit of fun experimentation, if I don't like the loom or if I don't envision myself using it in the future, I'm just going to donate it. And I'm sure that someone will want it. I could either donate it to the local school or I could donate it to an op shop, a local op shop, and I'm sure someone would gladly take it. Okay, so that part's done, and then it says turn the bottom axis to tighten the white warps and fix the wood block. So the bottom axis it's referring to is this. Let's get a closer look on that mechanism. So this is the front of the loom. By the way, did you notice that it's pre-strung with a warp? I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. The weaver in me instantly goes, a warp that I didn't make? How do I know what the tension's going to be like? Yeah, already it looks questionable, but that's okay. This is aimed at children, so I imagine having a loom arrive to you that is already warped would be quite a good thing. And so I wanted to show you this mechanism at the front. It's just got this simple little block of wood that flips in and out, and it fits into the cog of this wheel here. And so they're saying to tighten up the warp, you take that tension off for a moment and you move it to where you want it. Interestingly, my warp is tightening across the middle and not at the ends. That's okay, we've got tricks for that, haven't we? And I'll just put that back in. Let me see, I'll try and get a bit tighter. That's another thing, is how tight does this tension go before you damage something. That'll do for now, just to get us started. What does the next part of the instructions say? Thread the string shuttle through the white warps. Oh, they want us to start weaving already. That's the quickest loom preparation I've ever done, that's for sure. Make sure a certain length of string is left at the end. Yep, I'm quite familiar with that idea. So let's back up again so that you guys can see what I'm doing. And before I actually start weaving, I should show you the rest of the parts of the loom. So it appears that we have a beater here. See that tension there? That's going to bother me. We'll deal with that in a minute. That seems to be separate to the rest. Okay, anyway. So that's the beater. It's a flimsy little wooden beater. And then behind that we've got, I actually thought from the pictures online that these would be plastic, but they're not. They're wood. That's good. They're kind of uneven, like they've been strung up there unevenly. Probably doesn't really matter. But what we've got is 2 heddles, and each heddle has, it's just like a rigid heddle. It has holes and slots. And the way that we move those is, I believe we move them manually. Yeah, just like that, moving between them. So that's why this top bit here has a little peg on it, I guess, for easy turning. So that's how we change the sheds. Nice, I like it, simple. It would be easy for kids to start with. So let's put my beater back. I have to do something about this before I start weaving, or it's just going to be terrible. So let me grab an S hook. Okay, looks like we can start weaving. As I said, it's a very, very fast setup. I just have to find how the end of this yarn works. They've kind of wrapped it in there. Oh, there we go, they've just tucked it under. Okay, tiny little shuttle, very cute. And I haven't done any warp separation here, obviously. Maybe I should do that. Yeah, I should probably do that. Yeah, I'll just do a quick separation. That might help a little bit with the tension too. Change my sheds. Very wonky heddle there. They didn't quite bother to put the string on straight, but never mind, we'll deal with it. And then we'll go back again. It's a little bit better. Oh, shocking tension there. It's a bit hard to get past that. All right, now we can start weaving. They've just supplied some acrylic, fairly thick yarn. I'd say that's probably like an iron weight Australian 10-ply yarn. And we'll beat. Ooh. Okay, it's a little bit hard to beat evenly because of the reed's not sitting flat. So when you bring it forward, you've got these two edges here that kind of interfere a little bit. Never mind, we'll press on. I'm going to change sheds by rotating, and I'll just do a little bit more blue. I'm guessing my edges are going to be pretty bad because of this tension here. I think I could probably put an S hook on the front as well as the back. Worth a shot. Okay, we'll beat that again and change sheds. I think I'll do maybe 4 rows of each colour. It's very easy to use. So one thing that you'll note about this weaving and about these heddles is that just like a rigid heddle loom, even though the beater or the reed here has closer slots, the actual heddles at the back, the slots are very far apart. So you don't really have a choice about the set with a loom like this. I mean, I guess you can increase your set in other ways with more threads and so on. But it is very wide, so I'll let you know that. It doesn't say anything on the instructions how wide it is, and I haven't measured it, but I might do that afterwards just so I can let you all know. And then let's go for some red. I'm going to need to advance my warp pretty soon just because I put those separators in there, so it's not leaving me with a lot of space. You know, I quite like this though. I mean, I think it's great for a kid's loom. Really, it's got that extra element of fun because, say with a loom like this one right here, you know, you're manually going in and out of here with your shuttle, whereas this one is, you know, it's just like a rigid heddle loom. It's opening up the sheds for you in that regard. And it's easy, really easy to learn. It would be very simple for a child to learn this. I'm sure my girls will have a go at it. And this is meant to be, I believe it's meant to be around a 10-inch weaving width here. Again, I didn't measure it because I just got it out of the box. I wanted to give it a try, so. I'm not beating too hard because, as I said, the warp is very spaced apart. So if I beat too hard, then I'm going to have a very weft-faced fabric. All right, time to bring in the third colour. Pretty colours. Just tucking in my tail. By the way, this video is not sponsored in any way. I bought this with my own money as an experiment, as a fun experiment. And I do think it's fun. It does feel like, it definitely feels like you're weaving on a toy. Like you wouldn't want to be too rough on this or ask it to do too much as far as tension goes, because I think you'd probably have things break. And if you had a child who was being rough on this repeatedly, it probably would also break eventually. So advancing the warp, we come down to this section again. Well, the back part has one of them as well. How about I get rid of that yarn so that we can actually see what we're doing. Turn it around. So it's exactly the same at the back roller as it is at the front. And so I'm just going to let that off, let a little bit of tension go, and then wedge that again. And then around to the front, I will do the same. Let that tension off there, and then tighten it up myself. And my sticks are a bit larger. I'm actually going to take my sticks out now because they're going to be a nuisance as I roll things around the front roller. Yeah, so these apron rods and things and the heddles, as I said, all the strings are uneven. Like it's nice that they've preset a lot of things on the loom. They really haven't bothered to set them properly. That's something that you could fix up yourself. Okay, wedge that back in. Like a little more tension than that. Let's see, am I going to break the thing? I mean, it does seem fairly sturdy. It's just the way they've put the warp on. Consistent warping, people, it's what I always say. You need even, consistent warp. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be consistent. Oh, it's looser than it was before. I need to keep going with that. So I'm trying to get, like, yeah, an extra rotation before I put that back. Oh no, now it's really loose. Okay, what's going on there? What I'm going to do is I'll try and tighten it up again from the back. Better than it was anyway. And then I'm going to put this back here. Not easy to get good tension. I'll be interested to see how it is once this apron rod goes around, because it's kind of sticking out, and I think that's making it worse. All right, so I'll change back to my blue. I'll give an extra beat there. Oh man, I can't work like that. It's too loose. Got to do something. Take that out of the way. Maybe if I can get that to sit flat, that might, no, it doesn't want to sit flat. Okay. Well, that's better, but now it's way too forward at the front. So I think I'll get it to where I want it at the front as far as the positioning of the weaving goes, and then I'll try again to tighten it up from the back, because it's just a bit difficult what I'm trying to do there. You see how crooked that heddle is there? It's bothering me. I don't like things being crooked. This is better. Still horrible tension on this side, but... So one of the things about weaving, I think, is if you have to put up with materials and things that aren't so good, like things that can't give you a good tension, then is it going to be a happy weaving experience for you? It may not be, and therefore it may not be worth it. It may be more worth investing in good equipment, so that you have a good weaving experience and you actually want to weave on what you've got. All right, so my weaving's gone a bit wonky, and that's because I was trying to adjust the tension. But I'm going to press on and keep trying. Now, to make sure I'm in the right shed. Yeah, I'll be really interested to see whether this tension improves as that apron rod travels onward. I hope so. Otherwise, I'm going to be saying that it's really not so good for using. Because I see tension as pretty essential to a happy weaving experience. I've had to sit down. I've had a bad back recently, so sitting down is much better for me than standing up. I did fiddle around with the tension a little bit more, and I have improved it slightly, at least. Enough to be able to keep weaving. It's just really a lot looser on the right than it is on the left, and the middle tension is pretty tight. I'd be interested to see next time I use this, how it is with my own warping. What I did find is when I try to advance it from the front and I try to tighten the tension from there, it just slips at the back, like it won't hold that amount of tension that you want. But if you advance the warp from the front a little bit and then fine tune the tension from the back, that seems to work better. So that's what I did. So at this point, I'm just going to carry on weaving, and we'll come back in a little bit again and I'll tell you what my thoughts are. So this is where I got to. I just did this little section of weaving here. Things did start to improve a little bit as I went around the front apron rod, and you would know from watching any of my other videos that that happens with other looms as well. But particularly with this one, because the tension was so bad to start with. You can see here that these heddles are really crooked and everything. So what I'm planning to do from this point is I'm going to give this loom a second chance, but I'm going to warp it myself, and I'm going to replace these strings so that the heddles are straight and that kind of thing, because even though it's not going to have a huge impact on the actual weaving, it just bothers me when things are crooked and misaligned. So I'm going to do that at some point in the future, but I wanted to tell you a couple of other things that I did discover about this little loom as I was weaving. One of the things is that it was much more effective beating on a closed shed than an open shed. The weft stayed in place much nicer, packed more nicely when I beat on a closed shed. The other things are, I did a little bit of measuring. The width of my weaving here is about 5.5 inches, and measuring the heddles at the back, they're about 6.5 inches long. So for some reason I was thinking it was a 10-inch weaving width, but it's not, it's much smaller than that. So you'd only be doing narrow, quite narrow pieces on here. Could be okay for a, you know, pretty skinny scarf, but me personally, I don't wear skinny scarves. I like them a bit wider. What I could see it being good for is things like cute little rugs for doll houses or little doll blankets, even squares that kids could sort of sew together to make something a little bit larger. Also, I measured how many ends per inch these heddles are. They are 5 dent reeds. So the warp that they've got in here is quite thin, and even the weft yarn is a little bit thin in comparison to the 5 dent heddles. So next time when I warp it myself, I'm going to use a much thicker yarn and see how that turns out. And I'm most interested to see how the tension goes. I did actually push it a little bit because I really wanted to test this, you know. I wanted to be able to tell you if it's going to break easily or whatever. So I did try to make the tension quite tight at times, and it stood up to it okay. It was fine, nothing broke. But one thing I think is, if you had kids using this loom and the kids hadn't maybe been around weaving looms before, what I've noticed is kids who don't really know anything about weaving or haven't experienced or even seen a loom before, they tend to be a bit rough on the looms. I don't think it's something that they really intend to do, but they sort of feel like they're operating a machine, and so they'll beat quite hard. And when they're moving mechanisms, they move them quite roughly. That's just what I've noticed about kids with no experience. Whereas kids who have seen looms before, especially seen someone doing it before, they tend to be more gentle, a little bit more respectful of the machine. So anyway, I don't want to give you like a final verdict on this machine in this video, because I feel like, to be really fair to it, I have to do that warping myself and to fix up the things that are bothering me, and then see what I can do with it after that. But what I would say from just spending that little bit of time doing this little bit of weaving on this loom, me personally, if I was looking for my first loom, I would save the extra money to buy something like a Sampleit, just because I know that nothing is going to go wrong with one of these looms. Having had a number of rigid heddle looms, especially from Ashford, I know that they're really sturdy and well made. I know that I can get a certain amount of tension on them without breaking anything. And so that's personally what I would do. I would save the extra money. I would wait for longer to buy the quality item. But that's me, and I generally would do that with any kind of equipment that I was going to buy. I would wait to save up a little bit more so that I could get the better quality piece. Speaking of prices, if you're interested to know the price difference between these two looms, for example, this one cost me 100 Australian dollars. That includes the cost of the postage. The Sampleit is retailing currently for around $210. And then depending on where you bought it, that's Australian dollars, by the way. Depending on where you bought it, you may have to pay shipping on top of that. You may have free shipping, so you'd have to factor in that cost as well. So this one's roughly half the price of this one. Still, I would absolutely save up for the Sampleit. Let me know if you want me to come back with another video talking about this toy loom after I've warped it myself, and to see whether that's made much of a difference. If enough people are interested in that, then I'll make another video on it. I hope you enjoyed looking at this cute little toy loom with me today, and until next time, happy weaving.